Hey everybody, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily, the paper cut section, where I dive into horror literature and I talk to some of the most exciting and dynamic horror authors out there. And I have got a doozy today. I've got Daniel Kraus virtually sitting in front of me. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you got it.
We're going to talk about his deep dive into possibly easily one of the best horror movies that have ever been put on film. And maybe by the time we get done with this discussion, it will be the best horror film ever put on film.
Yeah, it's possible.
You make a very, very strong case. I'm a Jaws guy. Jaws is my favorite film.
Yep.
And by the time I got to the end of your book, I started thinking of Jaws in the way you framed Night of the Living Dead. And I
Yeah.
started to think about all of the different ways I interpret that film through all the yeah, I'm 57. So all the decades of my
Sure.
life and what it means in 2026 is so monumentally different from what it meant back in 1975. So we're going to get into it because I think that it's one of my favorite parts of the book is how this movie evolves and changes. I mean, it's like Mercury for you at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's what sets, and we'll get into this, but what sets Night of the Living Dead apart from Jaws and all those other films is that it was just available to everyone in a way those other films weren't because of the
True.
copyright issue. So it's always been just sort of this object that anybody can do with, not that they should, but anyone did do with it whatever they wanted. And it has always been in sort of the public space, and that changed the entire trajectory of everything.
It really did. And then it launched so much from that point forward. And then after it just became part of the zeitgeist, it really did influence and launch so much. And it's now woven into the fabric of not only horror film, but just kind of quintessentially what it means to be American.
Yeah.
We'll get to it, but first I have to I have to do the embarrassing part where I talk about all your accolades, and it's the
Okay.
author's least
No.
favorite moment.
Oh, I love it. Just go on and on.
Here we go. Daniel Kraus is the New York Times bestselling author, writer of novels, TV, and film. His recent novel, Whalefall, it's actually Angel Down. Whalefall, we were just talking about it, it's in post production. I cannot wait to see that movie. Received a front cover review in the New York Times book review, won the Alex Award, was a Los Angeles Times Prize finalist, and was named a Best Book of 2023 by NPR, the New York Times, Amazon, Chicago Tribune, and more. With Guillermo del Toro, that slacker, he co-wrote The Shape of Water based on the same idea that the two created for the Oscar-winning film. And of course, you can find out more at danielkraus.com. Angel Down just tore up. It landed on just about every damn best of list for 2025. It was so highly regarded. And now, just as of today, I saw that it is in pre production to become a film. And that's really, really exciting.
Yes. Yes. I've been working on the script for a while now. So it's things are going well.
That's well, and touch wood. Yeah. So we'll leave it there.
Yes.
Things are going very, very well. And we want them to continue to go well. But today, we're here to talk about Partially Devoured. So, oh boy, I have so many questions, but let's just start from the beginning. I know that you have this incredible relationship with George Romero. Was the idea for the book, at what point did it start, and then at what point did it actually become something that you had to do?
Yeah, it's a weird process. It didn't come together. It's certainly my first work of nonfiction. It didn't come together like any of my other books did. I remember it was during the period where Wellfall was getting ready to come out. So it was maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 months before Wellfall was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And the book was doing like, I'd never seen anything quite like it. The book was really, really taking off. And there was a huge excitement around it. And so I just told myself at some point, I had so much press around it that I just needed to take a month or so off and just focus on doing press and stop writing and just focus on Wellfall, which is unusual for me. Typically, when a book's coming out, I'm kind of ignoring that and writing a new book. But this time it was so overwhelming that I changed it up. But even though I was spending half of my days doing press, there would be odd hours where I'm like, well, I have 3 hours here before my next thing, or I got an hour here. Um, and somewhere in my head, I'd gotten it a little bit of a buzz that, I should write something definitive for me about Night of the Living Dead, since it's been kind of floating around my career and my life, my whole life. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if it was an article, if it was a just a little 5-page essay. I didn't know what it was. Um, but I found a copy on YouTube. I mean, I have my own copies, but I'm sitting here at the desk where you're talking to me now, and I just started playing. I just hit play on it, and and then a couple seconds later stopped and said, "Well, I could write about that." So I started writing about the couple seconds
Yeah.
that I just watched, and suddenly I'm 5 pages into this, and I've watched 2 sentences. So I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting." So I watch a few more sentences, and I write another or a few more seconds, and write like 5 more pages. I'm like, wow, I have a lot to say about this. And so over then the rest of the year, kind of between other projects, I would just get back in and say, all right, now at minute 37 and 13 seconds. Let's watch another few seconds and I'll write about them. And it started as film analysis, in this first page or so of the book, but very quickly went off the rails. Like I have this book the movie is so intertangled with me in every way that, like, by page 2 of the book, I'm already talking about it in terms of just what it has meant to my life and how it affected me as a kid and how it affected me as an adolescent or an adult. Um, and it's one of those things when you look at the book, I'm sure something that's this wild, it doesn't make sense how it ever got made, because there's so much, there's so many tangents, and I don't know how it got made either. Like, it doesn't make sense how something like this comes together. It's just that I just kept writing and writing and writing and digging deeper and deeper in all these different directions. And then when I was done, went back to the beginning and sort of did it again. And the book got twice as big this time. And then while doing all this, I'm also starting to research in a way I never had. And so every day I'm learning something new about Night of the Living Dead. And up until the last second that book had to be mailed off to be printed, I was adding new things,
It's
because it still seems like every few days I learn something new.
well, it's the best audio commentary that's been put into book form is what it is. I mean, you can put in Night of the Living Dead and you can pick up Partially Devoured and you can follow along. You're going to have to pause because you're going to have to catch up reading.
Yeah,
But you unpack. There's such incredible detail to every single scene. And we should tell the viewers and the listeners this is what it is. I mean, it essentially is an audio commentary. To your point, Daniel, you're going through it frame by frame and you're unpacking what we're looking at and what it all means. And it kind of starts, for me, it started out as I love film, you know,
mhm,
very much into film. So I approach this as, oh, I love Night of the Living Dead as well. Let's find out about the movie and what, the process of George Romero making the film was like. And that's all there. But by the time you're 30, 40 pages in, this evolves into something completely different. We learn
yeah,
an awful lot about your childhood, and you talk about isolation and what violence means, like real violence means, and you explore friendship and society and culture and what art can do for you and how art can essentially throw you. And I just spoke about this, I was just talking to another author about this, um, Becky Spratford,
mhm,
how literature, but it could be art of any type.
yeah,
It's a life preserver, and it can save
yeah,
you, that started coming through as I was reading the book. So I just want to, before I get completely over my skis, I do want to, backtrack a little bit, and I want to ask you, you said that you wrote it and you went back and you are discovering things each and every time that you look at this movie. How did the film change from when you first saw it at a very young age of 5. I saw Jaws at 6. You saw Night of the
Mhm.
Living Dead at 5. We were way too young, but that's just what happened back then,
Yeah.
you know? So, how did this film evolve from when you first saw it? What does it mean to you now as opposed to what it meant to you back then?
Yeah, it's tough, because that's kind of what the whole book is about. So,
Yeah.
so to sum that up in an answer is difficult, but at its very earliest incarnation for me, it was something. Even though it was a horror film, it was something comforting that I did with my mom because I would watch Night of the Living Dead and Twilight Zone with her, and those were the two sort of scary things that were just on a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was a little scary, but mostly it was fun scary because she was there and she wasn't scared and she was having fun and she was laughing at things that were happening in Night of the Living Dead. And it wasn't something she did with my sisters either. It was a me and her thing. So I think that that kicked off Night of the Living Dead and horror in general as a real safe space, as
Mm.
something that felt special. That this was my space that I had that was unique. Um, and then, as the book details quite a bit, once I got older and I'm in middle school and times are tough, horror, maybe less than Night of the Living Dead at this point, although it was still always present. Horror became a way of, like you were saying, a life raft. But to me, I think about it more as armor. Like I
Mm.
was going out to the local VHS video store and renting the gnarliest shit out there. Like I was renting, you know, Fulci films and Faces of Death and all these things that
The more
just
gruesome, the better, right?
yeah, and they would scare. Quite often, I would go too far, and it would
Mm.
freak me out and I would get physically ill from seeing it. But it was a way of toughening myself up. Like I felt like in school I was a target, but I was at home, I was doing things that these none of these kids could do. I was watching these extreme horror and gore films, and they were helping me in a way. They were toughening me up and becoming um I just had this kind of vision just as I'm talking here about walking into that little video store. It was a little town in Iowa. It was almost like walking into a castle in some way. It was like the way the boxes were on the walls sort of made it feel like I'm walking into a fortress, and this is the place where I am protected in a way. And then it changes when you get older too. That's the great thing about, I think, any truly great movie is that it's got multitudes in it. And the movie you see when you're a kid at age 5, and when you watch it at age 55, if it's a great movie, it's giving you something different.
It's so true. It's so true. And look, Night of the Living Dead was inherently political when it was made back in '68. You you sum up that first zombie that shambles toward Barbara and her brother. I mean, that is Vietnam. I love the description that you use. How we don't understand it. It's beyond our comprehension. It's unlike anything we've encountered before, and we don't know how to deal with it. And we just have to. It's all reactionary because we've never experienced something like this before. You know, and now here in 2026, well, Night of the Living Dead has taken on, it's still that political film, but you can view it through a lens. I don't even know how to wrap my head around the film now in
Yeah,
context of 2026. I want to get your take on it.
that's the crazy thing about the movie is like every era that it has existed in since 1968, it has seemed to reflect something of that era. And
Right?
that was George Romero's superpower, right? Like, you know, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, these are films that keep existing in our consciousness because they keep seeming to reflect things that we're going through. They are sometimes very specific in how they're made, but they somehow are universal.
Yeah.
And Night of the Living Dead most of all. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's you look at it now and you look at it today, um, and you see, I think the main evergreen thing about Night of the Living Dead is the people in the house arguing. You know, like Romero was brought up as the book goes into sort of as a young actor working in plays, and he was really influenced by these talkie dramas where there's a kind of a one room play. There's one specifically called The Connection, where everyone's just sort of arguing and figuring out the best way to do something. Um, and that's basically Night of the Living Dead. They
Yeah.
just got some zombies on the ends of it, you know. Um, and that's, I think, what mostly resonates. Like the Romero went out of his way over the years since making the film to emphasize how easy it should have been to get out of the zombie mess. Like it was really easy. Like zombies are super simple to defeat. Um, all people had to do was work together,
Yeah.
and they would have gotten rid of the zombies in a couple weeks. But they're not able to do it. They're not able to work together, and that's the part that I feel like no matter what our current struggle is, it's always seems to boil down to just people not being able to work together.
Yeah.
Uh, People having all agreeing upon the threat sometimes, but not how to do it. Everyone has their own pieces of whatever pie that they don't want to give up. Um, and, and then you add to that really just the most sort of powerful thing that's in the film that adds to that is really the posse element that comes in near the end. If there's a second element to the film that's beyond the people not being able to work together, it's this outside posse that kind of says, if you guys can't work together, we're going to come in and fix things, but we're going to come and fix them our way, uh, and which is to say, we are going to decide with guns who lives and who dies and who's worth debating over.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
like when they kill Ben at the end, which is a huge spoiler, but that's too bad. uh, it's it was shocking when I was 5. It was the only part of the movie that was never fun. Like it was shocking when I was 5. It was just shocking today every time you see it. Um, and it's very unclear in the film whether they shoot him because they really think he's a zombie or not. What is very clear is they don't think he's worth the time to go find out.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just see him through the window and they're like, "Oh, there's some black guy over there." Well, let's just shoot him one way or the other. And so that, you know, especially in this country where whatever date you and I would have made to talk about this book, there would have been something going on that would have harkened back to that scene
Yeah.
where somebody is unjustly being killed or even casually being killed. Um, and I think why you see that in a lot of movies, what you don't see in hardly any movies before Night of the Living Dead or since is the absolute horrific way, the casualness by which Ben is killed. Heroes, when they die in films and in books, it's usually in a big splashy way.
They
If they
get their
die at
hero
all,
moment. Yeah.
they get a hero's moment. Uh, the the way that Dwayne Jones's character is killed in a completely unimportant aside by a character you don't even know, just like swatting a fly, is it feels so real. It feels so much like what we experience all the time, whether it was with Black Lives Matter or um, we go back through time.
This book has you have this part that about Kyle Rittenhouse, and we just talked about the posse aspect of the movie, and I don't want to spoil anything because I really do want everyone to go out and read Partially Devoured, but I just want to let you know that that part just it was so succinct and well said, and it floored me.
Mm.
But I want to make another aspect of this book inherently clear. This is a very funny book. We're talking about some really heavy things, but it is humorous as hell.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor in it for sure.
So much humor in it. I mean, we really look. It's not a living dead, so of course we have to lean into the cultural and the societal aspects of it. But boy, oh boy, do you bring the thunder! I mean, there are a lot of
Yeah.
laughs to this book.
Oh,
I don't want.
it's. I think when you talk about anything that you love so much, whether it's Night of the Living Dead or Star Wars or your favorite sports team, and you're talking to other sports fans, like there's just a lot of in jokes to be made.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of references, and that's what kept me going. It wasn't like, oh, here, oh, good, I get to write about something super heavy now. It was not that. It was like, oh, now I get to write about this scene. Oh man, I love this scene. I freaking love when this like fake zombie head gets clocked by the crowbar. It looks so fake. And let's talk about that for a while. And it's it's just like it is sort of like the ultimate commentary track, but it's like all the commentary tracks. Like if you had gotten 500 people to record commentary tracks from Night of the Living Dead, you get the ones that were all jokes. You get the ones that were super academic.
yeah.
You get the ones that were with the cast and crew talking about their experiences, and this is all of them put together. And my goal with this book was really to take over 50 years of material and interviews and commentary tracks and books and documentaries and all this knowledge and for once and for all, weave it into one single A to Z narrative that you could read and understand everything. All the rumors, all the legends, everything.
There have been so many great documentaries and books written previously, but you've ruined them all now because you really have condensed everything. I mean, that's it. This is it. This is one-stop shopping for Night of the Living Dead. But it's also, like I said, it says so much about who we are and where we've been and where we're going. But it's funny. It's also nostalgic. You talk about your friendships and how, like, Night of the Living Dead is kind of that catalyst that sparked your creativity, and look where you are now, and how you're indebted to the film because of that. And I think that's beautiful. There's a lot of beauty in this book. There really
Yeah,
is.
and that's entirely true. Like one of the things when I go on, I'm doing a short tour for this book. That's at movie theaters essentially, and I'm going to screen my version of Night of the Living Dead that I
The
made
six
when I
minute
was
short.
the 6 minute version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I made with my friends when I was I don't know how old, 15. I don't know. Um, and we shot it on VHS, and we just shot it in my house, of course. But those were my early works, and it's telling that one of the first experiments in storytelling that I did was just redoing Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Like, so I literally tried to remake the movie. I mean, it's like the obsession is real,
It
folks.
is. I mean, look, you have to see it. It's on your Instagram. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a lot of fun. People are immediately going to think about their own childhood. I was that same kid who picked up the camcorder and let's make some movies. And there's some of the fondest memories that I have because they
Mhm.
were just so bad. And they're supposed to be so bad, but there's special times. I have to ask you because the book also really deconstructs what it means to make an independent movie.
Yeah.
And I want to get your thoughts on here we are in 2026 and what you think the independent cinema landscape looks like right now. Let me get your take on it.
Huh. That's interesting. I don't normally, as primarily a writer, I never get asked this. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt because
Sure.
I don't really have an educated opinion on this. Um, my sense is that it's the classic best of times, worst of times. Like, uh, I was heavily involved in independent filmmaking in the late 90s, early O's. I was actually, that's what I did. I directed indie movies, mostly documentaries, and was reasonably successful. And then I switched to writing. Um, and the difference between then and now that I see is that, if you made a movie back in 1999, your chances of getting it seen by anyone were very, very low.
Mm,
And you probably spent a ton of money on it, especially if you shot it on film.
yeah,
Um, your chance of getting your movie on a streaming platform now are very good. Like it's going to be really, unless you've made a true atrocity, like you're going to be able to get it somewhere, and people are going to be able to see it. So that sense is good. Um, the bad sense is that nobody's really getting paid for it. It's the same thing with the music models,
yeah,
where it's like, you know, there's a real big upside to a place like Spotify, and then there's real downside is that nobody can make a living off music anymore. So I think the indie movie scene, I think the content wise is quite strong. I think
I agree.
uh, the cream still rises, and I am still impressed year after year. Um, I definitely don't have a sense of, oh yeah, things aren't like they used to be. No, I don't feel that at all. I think there's great indie stuff coming out all the
Oh
time.
yeah,
Um, and I think it's just a new model. It used to be you had very few made because it was so hard to make them. Um, and then you picked up a certain percentage for everyone to see. And now there's a billion being made, but you're still the ones that shake down that are sort of sieved out,
yeah.
like panning for gold, or the best ones still generally rise. Um, so I think it's good. I think my this is probably not where you expect me to go. My biggest complaint in the indie landscape today is actually with documentaries.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people feel like this is the golden age of documentaries, where people didn't really used to watch them at all, and now people love watching them. But I feel like the art of the documentary has almost never been worse. Like, yeah, there's a ton out there. Like, there's content that's intrinsically interesting. Same reason people listen to a lot of podcasts. It's just there's a lot out there. But I remember in the '90s, in that same period, like we were getting things like Brothers Keeper and Hoop Dreams and these like uh, Stevie and these like
Thin blue line. Yeah.
Thin Blue Line, which sort of bloomed into another line, another star that so probably went overboard at some point. But these were like true works of art.
Yeah.
Like, whereas now every single movie I watch on streaming starts the exact same way. They all start with a 5 minute trailer for the movie you're about to watch. Starts with that drone shot over the town. I mean, it's just like uh, everything's explained in the first 5 minutes because that's the Netflix model.
Yeah.
Whereas you got to know what this is. There's no slow bringing somebody into a story and wondering what even is this. So I've got a lot of issues with modern documentary from an art point of view. Although the content, of course, is interesting.
Yeah, it's no, I agree with you. It's from a for the documentaries, it's almost like, where's the hook? Where's the hook? And it's like, wait, no, 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 no. Documentary is that you're playing the long game. There's no
Yeah,
hook. You sit down and watch it, and then by the time it's over, that's how it's impactful. You shouldn't have the hook in the beginning. It doesn't need
yeah.
to be a song with a catch. So
It's a personal complaint. It's probably not worth lingering on too long.
well, let me ask you though, I firmly believe, like everything, it's the pendulum. So, right now the pendulum will swing back and we'll hit that middle section a couple of years from now or a decade or so, and it'll be that sweet spot, and then it'll go way too far in the other direction.
Yeah, definitely.
So just have to be patient and wait it out. But that's a very interesting take on indie cinema, and I'm glad I asked it because it's enlightening. I agree with you. There's so much content there, but the cream does rise to the top. At Macabre Daily, we watch a ton of films, and the majority are indie films. And we try and champion the ones that really show the most promise and that deserve to have eyes on them, in our humble opinion.
Yeah,
And it's hard. It's hard to get eyes on films because it's that, like, blink and you miss it mentality that we have now. It's too fast. Things go by too fast. That's why, just educate me from your perspective as far as literature goes. For a book like Partially Devoured now, what's your window as opposed to like 10, 20
Mhm.
years ago. What's your window now to get this in people's hands?
Well, first of all, I mean, that's an interesting question, but it does make me think about what you just said, which is how fast we consume movies now. And even as we're watching a movie, might be thinking about what's coming next in the queue. And Partially Devoured is a way of radically slowing that down. Because you've got a 90-minute movie in Night of the Living Dead, but it's going to take you days to finish this book. And so I met someone at an event the other night who said they were watching the movie as they went through the book. And I said, well, that's nuts because you're going to have to be pausing it. Like there'll be a chapter that involves 2 seconds of the movie. And you're gonna watch 2 seconds and then pause it again. I mean, it just sounds like a mad way to do it. You can do it. There's time codes in the book.
I highly suggest doing it that way. I really do. I'm sorry,
It's
Daniel. You
wild.
should.
I'll be curious to hear how people attempt to read and watch the book together. But yeah, it is a way to almost force a slower digestion of media. Like this book is going to make you, like you said, there are parts of this book that go frame by frame,
Hmm.
and they're like, scroll 3 more frames, and you're going to see something that no one else has noticed before. Um, as far as like windows for this book or any book, it is different in books. Like movies really do have to hit immediately, from my understanding, or they're in big trouble.
Mm, yeah.
They may become cult classics, 20 years from then, but it is that first week or weekend even is just of utmost importance. Books are not quite like that. Um, the first week a book is out, that's kind of important for sales. If you've got a book that might get on the New York Times bestseller list or something like that, that's not most books though. Um, Really, books don't have to hit a home run out of the gate. They can marinate a little bit.
Find
Um,
room to breathe, find their audience. Okay.
yeah, it's not like we're taking up room in a theater and we need to get booted out for something else. Books are pretty small. You can put them in your store for a while. So that's you know that's one of the nice things is books are allowed to have sort of a longer tail.
Oh, well, that leads me to my next question. We just had Angel Down. What's next?
After Angel Down,
Yeah.
so I have Partially Devoured in March, and then in June I have a book I'm super excited about. This is June 2026, called The Sixth Nick, Nik, and it's a sci-fi horror novel. My first real sci-fi book.
All right.
Very horrifying. Maybe my most horrifying book ever, I think.
Okay. That's saying something.
But yeah, it is. It's a bold claim, but I think it is one messed up book. But it's full on sci-fi. It's like spaceships, planets, all that stuff.
Love it.
And that's a real, real wild one. That is real, real dark. And then I have a book that isn't announced that will come out a year later.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I basically know the 3 books after that, but they're all nowhere near being announced. So,
All right. They're all works in progress. All right. That's
yeah.
incredibly exciting. Did not mean to pass over Partially Devoured. March 10th. Everyone, if you take a look below, you're going to see the link to pre-order this, and I highly recommend you do. Um, it's look, I'm not blowing smoke. It really is my favorite deconstruction of a film I've ever read. It's so much fun. You take us places. I mean, we are all over the place. We learn
All over
stuff
the place.
about ourselves, about the country, about friendship, about loss, about grief. There's a little bit of everything there. And it is unbelievably rereadable. Just like the movie is rewatchable, this book is so rereadable. And I
Yeah.
love that about a book.
And the interesting thing that always struck me about it, and continues to strike me about it, is that people who have never even seen the movie are digging the book. The editor who bought the book had never seen the movie. He bought the book and had never seen the movie. Like, so it is working for people who have never seen it, which is also kind of cool.
You stole my thunder, and thank you for bringing it up. And I have it written down right here. This is the book to give the person who's baffled as to why you love horror.
Yeah, right.
This is it right here. and we all have that person. Sometimes we have multitudes of that person, and they're all like, and they're not being contentious, they're not being rude, they're just like, I don't get it. Hand them Partially Devoured, don't say another word, just say, read this. They're gonna get it.
That's
They'll understand
interesting
it.
because I always remember hearing with Stephen King's Dance Macabre book that he wrote that book because people were always asking him why he wrote horror. So this is a different, but this is a slightly different question. This is like, why do you do this stuff? You know, like what is it? What is it emotionally? It's not a history of anything. It's sort of like, why do people treasure art that doesn't make sense to other people?
No, this gets you right here for sure. It is a
Yeah,
heart. This is a heartfelt book.
yeah, I like that. I hadn't heard that yet. I think that's. I hope that's true. Yeah,
Oh, it's very true. And not that it's not, unbelievably entertaining, and it will get your brain cells, they'll be firing, but it really is a heartfelt book. I I love it. Like I said, you're going to get a stellar review in Macabre Daily, and the link is below to pre-order the book. I highly recommend, for the film lover in your life, for the horror lover in your life, and for that person who is like, why the hell do you like either one of those? This
yeah.
book's for everyone. It really is. So
Hmm.
I wish you the best of luck with it. I didn't, shame on me, I didn't take a look at your events page. You coming to the Northeast at all?
Yes, I am. The event page is not up, and there's not a ton of events with this book, just for my own personal schedule reasons. But there's a handful, and I know there's an event in New York coming up, and there's an event in Cambridge. I don't know if
Okay.
that's anywhere near you. Um, and I think that's really the only ones I could call East Coast. There
I, well,
might be
I'm
there
gonna
might
reach
be
out
one
to
in
your
Pittsburgh.
publicist.
There might be one in Pittsburgh at some point.
We'll put on our socials your events, because I want everybody to come out and see you. I think
Yeah,
it'll be
it's
dynamite.
the we're probably a few weeks away
Okay,
to posting something, but there are a number of events.
great. I'm gonna try and make the New York one. I'll shake your hand. I'll thank you for writing the book, and then I'll
Ah,
leave you alone.
that's perfect. It's the perfect interaction.
There you go. There you go. Daniel, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming on Paper Cuts with Cobb Daily. And like I said, I wish you the best of luck. You don't need it. You're just coming off a phenomenal year, and I think 2026 is going to make that look like the lemon next to the pie. Really
Huh.
excited for you.
Thanks, man.
Have a great day.
Yep, you too.